This is Sandro Tonali.
Tonali? Oh! How did that happen? Extraordinary!
This is Mateus Fernandez.
They've got the ball here and they've struck early on. How about that? For starters, Mateus Fernandez.
This is Tonali again.
Tonali! Deflected, but Newcastle, the 11 men against 10, have finally made it count.
And this is Fernandez again.
Fernandez. Oh, what a strike! Mateus Fernandez.
These two are Tottenham's new midfield duo.
Spurs, Mateus Fernandez. What more can you tell us about this, Jules?
Spurs is a player that Roberto Zerbi really wanted in an area in that midfield where Spurs needed a lot of reinforcement and rebuilding.
Roberto Zerbi has been in full force and in action already. This is what Sandro Tonali had to say about the coach. For sure, Roberto Zerbi has been crucial for me to join Spurs. He played a big role. I can't wait to work with him.
Because Sandro Tonali is a Champions League player, there's just no doubt about it. So for him to agree to go to Spurs, it's really because of Zerbi and because of the project that Zerbi presented to him.
Zerbi has almost always played with a double pivot in midfield, and it was one of the first things that he implemented when he joined Tottenham. It was a big change from Thomas Frank and Igor Tudor, who kept trying different systems but never really found one that worked. Now with Tonali and Fernandez, Spurs finally have a midfield that looks built for Zerbi's style. Both players can defend, carry the ball forward, pass through the lines, and cover huge amounts of ground. On paper at least, they have everything needed to control games in the Premier League. Sandro Tonali was Tottenham's statement signing of the summer. It was the first £100 million transfer in the club's history, and showed that Spurs were finally willing to spend like one of Europe's biggest clubs.
Tottenham have just gone and spent £100 million on Tonali.
Come on, you Spurs!
Is that official, Gary? Is that official?
Yeah, it's done.
And 85 million on Fernandez from West Ham.
Spurs are making noises.
When
he took that job, he obviously said, we
need something. We said that, but you know what? They are making noises, and they should be, because...
And they must be giving up big wages as well.
Absolutely. About time. They're buying the players that are going to make the difference. It's like we've done the same with Declan. We had to do that.
Tonali can play as a defensive midfielder or as a box-to-box player. And in Zerbi's system, he'll probably be asked to do a little bit of everything. In fact, Tonali started playing some of the best football of his career at Newcastle when Eddie Howe pushed him deeper.
Similar to Anderson, this guy as a defensive midfielder is one of the best in the Premier League. There's absolutely no question about that.
The team looked infinitely better with Tonali deep and Bruno Guimaraes more forward. Tonali offered greater protection for the back line. He read the game well and was able to immediately start counterattacks with his passing.
He pops up in places on the field and wins the ball back and gets you going again.
The data showed that every single offensive metric was better with Tonali in the number 6 role.
I play number 6. And I play a lot with the defense.
Per 90, Newcastle were scoring more, shooting more, having more touches in the opposition box, and averaging more possession. A big part of that was because Tonali was getting on the ball more. Since he had the ball more, he was completing more passes, especially into the final third. That's what he does best. Win tackles, read the game well, cover huge amounts of ground, and be extremely comfortable on the ball. All ingredients that Tottenham have been missing.
If Tottenham or anybody else that he plays for can surround him with ball playing, goal scoring, striking machines, then this guy will get you the ball.
Last season, he averaged nearly 17 forward passes and more than 13 passes into the final third every 90 minutes. Instead of just being a side-to-side pass merchant, Tonali is always looking for ways to push the team forward. That's great for Zerbi's style. The Italian manager wants his teams to invite pressure before playing through it. To do that, you need midfielders who can stay calm when they're being pressed. And Tonali is one of the best in the league at exactly that. He can receive the ball with the opponents all around him, turn out of trouble, and instantly start an attack. Those few seconds can completely change the game, and they're a huge reason why Zerbi pushed so hard to bring the fellow Italian to Tottenham.
Unbelievable gaffer. I know him for a long time. He's from Brescia. I played 10 years in Brescia. Sometimes we meet in Brescia when we have a day off or 2 days off. We come back both in our city, and I think this is fantastic.
Then Mateus Fernandez arrived just 2 days before the Tonali deal, but he was every bit as big of a statement. Tottenham paid £85 million to sign the Portuguese midfielder from West Ham, completing a £185 million rebuild of their midfield in like less than a week. It also showed how serious Spurs were, especially when you consider the clubs they beat to get his signature. Manchester United, Real Madrid, and Paris Saint-Germain all wanted Fernandes, but he chose Tottenham after being convinced by Roberto De Zerbi's vision for the team. At just 21 years old, Fernandes has already become one of the most expensive Portuguese players in football history. His rise has been incredibly quick. He came through Sporting's famous academy after joining from his local club at the age of 12. By 17, he was already playing regularly for Sporting B. He made his first team debut in 2022 and just 4 days later came off the bench against Tottenham in the Champions League at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. A couple of years later, he was back in North London, but this time wearing the Spurs shirt. To help his development, Sporting sent him on loan to Estoril, where he played a key role in helping the club reach its first domestic cup final in 80 years. That earned him a move to Southampton. Now, even though Southampton struggled, Fernandes adapted to the Premier League almost immediately. He ranked among the league leaders for duels won and was voted the club's player of the season. West Ham quickly spotted his potential and signed him the following summer. Once again, Fernandes impressed. He became one of the first names on the team sheet, making 36 appearances, finishing among the Premier League leaders for tackles, and earned his first senior cap for Portugal after an outstanding season. So it's no surprise Tottenham were willing to spend big to bring him in. Tactically, Fernandes looks like a perfect fit for De Zerbi's system. He's the type of midfielder who can do a little bit of everything. He has the creativity of a playmaker, but also the energy and defensive work rate of a box-to-box midfielder.
For me, I feel more healthy when I play like a number 8 box to box. I know that I need to score more goals, give more assists, fight even more because I want to win titles.
His passing numbers are excellent. Last season, he averaged over 12 forward passes and more than 10 passes into the final third every 90 minutes, while completing nearly 88% of his passes from open play. But what really separates him is how comfortable he is under pressure. Fernandes loves receiving the ball with defenders right behind him. Instead of panicking, he uses his body to protect the ball, spins away from pressure, and either drives forward himself or finds a teammate with a line-breaking pass. That's exactly the type of midfielders De Zerbi loves. As I stated earlier, his teams invite pressure on purpose, and now they can do that knowing that players like Fernandes can beat it. One turn, one dribble, or one pass can suddenly open up the entire pitch. Now the scary part is that Fernandes was putting up those numbers in a defensive West Ham side that eventually got relegated. Now he'll be playing in a De Zerbi team that wants to dominate possession, attack constantly, and give him far more freedom on the ball. So if he could produce at that level in a struggling team, there's every reason to believe he'll become an even better player at Tottenham. Even before these signings, the midfield was the first thing that De Zerbi really improved in his first 7 games in charge. Under the previous managers, Tottenham struggled to press, struggled to play through the middle, and often looked disconnected. De Zerbi changed that almost immediately. Spurs became much more aggressive without the ball and much calmer when building attacks. The best example came in the 2-1 win away at Aston Villa. The midfield of Conor Gallagher, Bentancur, and João Paulinho completely overwhelmed Villa. They pressed aggressively, won the ball back high up the pitch, and played through pressure whenever Villa tried to close them down. It was probably Tottenham's best performance under De Zerbi, but now with Mateus Fernandes and Tonali, they have the potential to do so much better. Fernandes is one of the best progressive midfielders in the Premier League. Last season, he led the league in line-breaking passes that ended in a shot, and only a handful of players created more line-breaking passes that led to crosses. He's also an excellent ball carrier. Time after time at West Ham, he'd receive the ball from his defenders or goalkeeper, beat the first press himself, and then drive into midfield. That's the exact type of player De Zerbi loves.
I always learned this when I was in Sporting, play with the ball to try to control the game, trying to use my head.
His Brighton and Marseille teams always invited pressure before suddenly playing through it with one sharp pass or one midfielder driving forward with the ball. Now Tottenham have the exact players that can do that because even Tonali has similar qualities. He's not just someone who wins tackles. He can pass through the lines, carry the ball forward, cover huge distances, and read danger before it happens. At Newcastle, Eddie Howe relied on him to stop counterattacks because of his recovery pace and defensive awareness. Another big positive is that both players are very reliable. Tonali barely missed a game last season. The only reason that poor guy missed games was because of his gambling addiction, while Fernandez has avoided any major injuries throughout his professional career. This is important because Zerbi asks a lot from his midfielders. His system is physically demanding. He often asks his midfielders to go man-to-man high up the pitch, constantly chasing opponents and covering huge spaces. It's exhausting, but if you have the right players, it's incredibly effective.
You want to do a strong team, not just to play a few games, but to go to the pitch, away at home, and to play eyes to eyes, with blood, with the energy, with fight. And this is the way I play football. I play football to win, to beat the other team, to beat the other players.
Then in front of these guys, there's even more creativity. Mohamed Kudus is expected to be back for preseason after recovering from a thigh injury, while James Maddison looked sharp during his late substitute appearances at the end of last season as he continues to work his way back to full fitness. Tottenham are still expected to sign more attacking players before the transfer window closes, especially with Wilson Odebear and Xavi Simons both recovering from long-term ACL injuries. But there's also a lot of flexibility in the squad. Conor Gallagher can play as an attacking midfielder, using his energy and pressing to cause problems higher up the pitch. That role could suit him again, especially in away games where Tottenham might spend more time without the ball and look to create chances by forcing mistakes. Sarr also impressed in a similar role against Manchester City, although both he and Lucas Berrival could still leave the club this summer after struggling for regular minutes under Zerbi. That means even with Tonali and Fernandez expected to become the first choice midfield partnership, Tottenham suddenly have real depth. For example, Bentancur still remains a very reliable Premier League midfielder, and he played a huge role in helping Spurs avoid relegation last season. Then there's Archie Gray, one of the club's brightest young talents, who can rotate into the team, play cup matches, or step in whenever injuries happen. Because as we have seen with Tottenham, injuries will happen. This is exactly what top teams need. It's not just about having a great starting 11 anymore. You need quality throughout the squad if you want to compete in multiple competitions. Right now, Tottenham look like they're getting there. The defense has been rebuilt, the midfield looks stronger than it has in years, so now the focus shifts to the attack. If Spurs can strengthen that area before the transfer window closes, this could end up being one of the most important summers in the club's modern history. Now, to see how good the rest of the squad is, you have to watch this video right here.